So the Jan Satyagraha Yatra began from Kanyakumari about a year back. It was on the 27th of September 2011 that I started from Delhi with the soil from Rajghat, the place where Gandhi is resting. So today is 27th, so it is exactly 1 year. In 1 year I have travelled through the country, 80,000 kilometers, 24 states and 350 districts. And this has built up a kind of a momentum. Cutting across the country, meeting thousands of groups, linking struggles. So this has built up a momentum. As a result, the dialogue process also became strong. So the dialogue began just before I started for Kanyakumari 1 year back. And the dialogue continued all through. And in the last week, it was hectic. It was hectic because there were many rounds of discussion with Rural Development Minister. Many other departments participated in this dialogue. And finally, the entire dialogue ended up with a discussion with the Prime Minister of India. So the dialogue process is progressing very well. And the mobilization part is also progressing very well. Now people have started arriving in Gwalior, from where 100,000 people are going to walk to Delhi. So mobilization is progressing, dialogue is progressing. It is too early to say what will be the final outcome. But still, I am very hopeful that the final outcome will be positive in the interest of the poor people. Now let me spell out what is in the dialogue. One major demand that we were making for the last many years, since 2007, was there should be a national land reforms policy. How much land is there? How the land of India will be used? What will be the priority in terms of using the land? So the government was trying to avoid this question, but now they have come around and there will be a national land reforms policy formulated. But this cannot be formulated in 1 day, so the process will begin and the process will end in 6 months. So there is a deadline. In the meantime, there should be many rounds of meetings to formulate it. As a first round, the Rural Development Minister called the revenue ministers from all over the country and gave me an opportunity to speak to them. So I had an opportunity to address the revenue ministers of India. As a result, they understand our agenda. So the policy is one area, but the second area is also equally important. Within the policy, what are the things that are going to happen? Number one, there will be a policy for an action for homestead. See, millions of people in India have no land of their own to construct a small hut or pitch up a small plastic tent. They are living on the roadside, they are on the railway track, so they have no place to live. So this idea of right for shelter was something we were discussing for the last many years, that everyone born in this country should have the right for a piece of land on which they can stay. They can put up a shed and which they can call as their own home. Now the government is willing to take this seriously, and like right to work, right to information, there will be a new direction which is right to shelter. Right? And this is also going to come soon. This will take time, but as part of social justice, not as part of land reform, but part of social justice within the Constitution of India, they have agreed to bring about this change and provide a right to shelter as a provision so that people can demand land for shelter. The second part is related to tribal land, protecting tribal land and promoting tribal rights. So amendments are needed in various acts. There is an act called Panchayat Extension Act in Scheduled Areas, which is briefly called PESA, and there is also Forest Rights Act, briefly called FRA. These are two laws in the interest of Adivasis, but they are violated. They are not being followed very carefully. As a result, in spite of these two provisions, Adivasis are not getting what is rightfully theirs. So now the government has agreed to make various amendments in the Act so that the land and resources of Adivasis can be protected and their rights can be promoted. So this is an agreement, and various directions are going to be issued in this direction, and also the law will be amended. The process has already begun. The next part is creating a land pool. There are various ways to find land. There are many companies that are not using land that can be taken back. There is a Sealing Act which is not implemented properly. If it is implemented properly, land will be available. There are many religious organizations with too much land that can be taken. Many plantation companies who are not using land, or their lease period is over, land can be brought. So a land basket, a land pool can be created. And this land pool will be used for supporting landless people. So this is another agreement to create a land pool to support people without land, and landless people can receive land. So there are many other directions within that. See, some of these are going to be very new, and some of them are just directions to the state government to do things properly.